It came stand it, how it came slowly. And then there would be just moments where I'd get up, those moments that I was up, and I would just be walking and everything would hurt. Just my feet would hurt, and just squeezing things would hurt, just achy, deep, deep aching.
Hey everyone, today I have, in a lot of ways, a medical impossibility to share with you guys. I have Jenn and her husband, Josh. Jenn has suffered with a long history of narcolepsy with cataplexy and with rheumatoid arthritis. And she suffered so bad with the narcolepsy that for the last several years, she would go through weeks of sleeping about 23 hours per day. Yeah. And mix that in there, rheumatoid arthritis, pain, irritability, hormonal imbalance, undiagnosed symptoms and being told she was normal. She had thyroid labs that were normal. The slew of symptoms just was going on and on. This young couple really had to deal with this nightmare of life where Josh says that basically she just wasn't there. He was a single father. He was a single working father with a wife who was sleeping 23 hours a day. So how and did they transform narcolepsy, cataplexy, and rheumatoid arthritis around in a 2-month time frame that shocked the hell out of them? Just you wait. I'm Maggie UMD, and I'm a functional and holistic medicine physician and the creator of Transform and the Transform protocol to transform not just autoimmune disease, but undiagnosed slew of symptoms and even severe neurological disease like narcolepsy around naturally. If you want to learn more about our program, join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. If you're watching from YouTube, give us a like and a thumbs up. If you're interested in learning more about our program, make sure you chat with our team. There's a link above or below this video for you to chat with our team. Hey, Jenn. Hey, Josh. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, I'm Jenn. Well, I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 13 years, and I've even homeschooled my kids during that time up until about a year ago. I was able to do that. I loved it, but I became so sick that I couldn't. I was first diagnosed with narcolepsy 15 years ago, and that kind of started the journey down. Something is up, more than just having trouble sleeping. There were lots of unknown symptoms that accumulated, and then 3 years ago, it just became unbearable in so many ways. We were just trying to survive, and it got to a point that I couldn't even homeschool, but that's who I am.
Josh?
And I'm Josh. I am in the Air Force full time. And like she said, she was diagnosed narcoleptic right when we got married, but it wasn't, it wasn't detrimental. It was just something that you deal with. And it, we went through the journey of that continuing to progress over time and until it got really bad a couple of years ago. But we went through it together and we're glad to be where we're at right now.
Thanks for joining us, both of you. So Jenn, you said that you have been sick you felt like you've been sick for over 15 years, but things really got hellish about 3 years ago. Can you share a little bit about what life was like living with narcolepsy and also RA?
Yes, the RA came up later in my journey of health, and what was life like? I don't really know, and thinking about that, a lot of it was a fog. A lot of it was a blur because I spent many days feeling like, okay, I'm fine, I'm great. And we would go through life and I would be a mom and I'd be a wife and I'd be involved in my community. And then out of nowhere, bam, I'd be down and I'd be sleeping for a couple weeks and I'd be up for an hour or so a day. Life was very just a fog.
So you would sometimes during one of these flares, you'd be asleep for 23 hours per day for like a period of a week.
A lot of in and out of sleep. Yeah. It's not like I'd be out cold for a good 12 hours. And then my husband would wake me up. I couldn't wake up myself. He'd wake me up. It'd take me about an hour of, it's called sleep paralysis, where I would just kind of be awake, but couldn't move any muscles. It's terrifying if you've ever experienced that.
Right.
And then after that, I would get up for a little bit and maybe I'd take a shower, maybe. And if I did that, I'd be exhausted and I'd fall back asleep. So it was like that all day long, this cycle of just trying to have enough sleep to be awake.
That's the narcolepsy. What about the RA?
The RA came with so many, I don't even understand it, how it came slowly. And then there would be just moments where I'd get up, those moments that I was up and I would just be walking and everything would hurt. Just my feet would hurt and like just squeezing things would hurt, just achy, deep, deep aching. But then on top of that, I had plenty of other symptoms that never were diagnosed as anything.
And Josh, what was it like seeing her go through? I mean, she literally, this is 2 months just since she joined the program. What was it like the last 3 years for you up until 2 months ago, living, trying to help Jenn with this?
So gradually got worse, but overall it was to the point where, you know, the kids and I had to learn to live without her essentially, because she was not able to be there. If she was awake, she was still ill, or she was in that foggy state that she describes. And it was, you know, things are gradual. So you kind of just get accustomed to, you know, well, she's not awake, so we just do breakfast without her. You know, we do this and without her, and you never know. It's just very difficult to slowly live apart from someone who is actually still there. It was very difficult for us, you know.
I couldn't be around my own kids. It got to the point where everything just felt too loud and too busy. And so those moments that I was awake, it was like my brain was on overload. And just to, you know, walk from the bed to the couch, that was what my day would be. But doing that, it might be too loud in the living room. And this is all during COVID. So of course we were all together the whole time. That it got really bad. And so this was, you know, the time with my kids was them maybe bringing me my medication, my narcolepsy medication to wake me up, or bringing me coffee. That was the interaction I had with my kids.
You know, a lot of people out there don't think of narcolepsy, which is a neurological disorder. They don't tie that in with autoimmunity at all. And they certainly won't have any tie with it with the RA or anything. They think it's two separate things and that there are all these different causes and that they should be whack-a-mole and treated separately. I'm going to ask you guys, what made you guys made the link that there was even a connection, or that joining an autoimmune program could even help narcolepsy and the RA? What made you guys even think or dare to dream that?
It's funny. Well, there is more research showing that there are some ties to autoimmune and narcolepsy. And I do have the type of narcolepsy that I have narcolepsy with cataplexy, which is a sign that it is most likely autoimmune related. But still, even without that key point, we knew that there were just too many unknown symptoms, too many things that just didn't make sense. I went to so many different providers that had no answers. You know, and going to a neurologist didn't really explain, even though I was awake, the brain fog doesn't make sense. You know, the extreme fatigue is different than just feeling tired. I don't know how to explain the difference. That fatigue is just draining your whole body.
Well, but let's go through that, because there was sleep disturbance, obviously. There was fatigue. There's the brain fog. You had a list of other symptoms. Let's just go down the list.
You want me to go through the list?
Yeah, just go down that list, because I could see the connections with all of them. Yeah. But to a primary care or neurologist or rheumatologist, this is a freaking nightmare list. They don't know what the hell to do with. So go down that list. Come at me.
Yeah, I had eczema. I had panic attacks. I would have anxiety. The depression was so deep that it's nothing, no medication. I was on every antidepressant. Yep. Nothing was helping with that.
Yeah.
The feelings of being drained, really, I just had no desire to live is really what I would get down to. But I was constipated. I had ridges in all my nails. I had gallbladder pain. My skin was just a wreck, not just eczema. I had acne and other signs of markings, I guess. I don't know what you call it. The marks on my skin. My PMS was, I'm so sorry for Josh for how bad.
How bad was it, Josh?
Let me tell you.
He's like, I know not to say anything right now.
We're finally to a spot, thanks to you, we're to a spot that it is getting better, but it was so bad that I would be suffering for 3 to 5 days prior to my period of just these mood swings, this jittery agitation, anger outbursts at my kids and my husband. And this is the part that never made sense to me. My husband is handsome. He's so attractive. He's got all these good qualities. He's logical. Yeah, good looking guy. Okay. All these good qualities. And once a month, he was an idiot. He just turned dumb. I just couldn't understand it.
It just happens.
And here it was me, you know, and I just, the emotions that were connected with all of that, from every month feeling like something's wrong with Josh, something's wrong with Josh. we were a wreck. It affected our marriage in a deep
Wow.
way.
So I'm going to ask this right now, which is people want to know where you're at right now. We're just 2 months. This is 2 months ago. Okay. We're 2 months later. So I would love Josh's perspective first, and then your perspective. Josh, what has gotten better? What has changed?
I'll be honest, I can't even describe how, my wife is here with us and able to be in the family. We got to the point where I had to prepare myself, after taking her to the emergency room 6 times in 1 year, not knowing if she was paralyzed many times or if she was dying for some unknown reason. Your mind just wanders. You start to prepare for death because you don't know what's happening, and she's so ill consistently. You can only, it just looks like, and no one can find anything. She's a slew of symptoms, and she's not in, she can't being a part of the family isn't even a concern at that point. It's more of just, what is going on with you? I can't understand how in 2 months she has gone through so much of a change. It's like the girl that I married, 14 years ago is able to be here with us and be a wife and a mom. And if you would tell me that, in 2 months that can happen by the little bits of, what I know about the program of going through data and taking the right things for her, which no doctor, no specialist, anyone that we've been through, which we've been through a slew of them, no one has known enough or taken the time to do specifically what she needed. And for it to be corrected that fast, she is awake, she is healthy, we take walks together, we talk. Her stability from a emotional to a physical standpoint is, I can't understand how it changed so fast. And I am very, very grateful to you and your program. So thank you very much.
Ooh. You were holding out on me. He never said this during the program. I had no clue what his experience was, because whenever you want a mastermind call, he would be driving. Or
Because I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
Where we were driving.
He was doing all the driving because I couldn't drive. But
right. Okay, your perspective. Where do you think you're at right now, Jen? What's happened? What are your results?
Everything I listed as a symptom is gone. And when I say that, people are like, there's no way. No. Eczema, gone. Nail ridges. I can show you my nail where halfway up, you can't see it.
You can't actually, you can see the white on top, and on the bottom there's
the
no
ridges on the top and then not on the bottom. It is this perfect nail on the bottom. And I haven't seen that in 15 years. So I'm going, what? Like the little things like that. But the bigger things is I can wake up in the morning on my own. He doesn't wake me up. I don't even have an alarm.
Yeah.
I get up and I just go, okay, I'm alive and I can live my day. We
still are shocked, actually, when me and the kids are at breakfast and we all turn around and, she's there, that she just it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be like that. We would have to, the narcolepsy was like triggered in a negative way to be exacerbated because of all the symptoms. She would not wake up.
So you're turning around at breakfast and she's there.
Yeah. We just wouldn't expect, life was, just different. We're still shocked that she's there and she can participate, and she's the brain fog thing that she describes, even if she was there, it was always a reactionary. That's such a strange thing that she was very reactionary and in a lot of ways emotionally driven, that she just, she felt. And she knew she was not a part of the family in a lot of ways. It was a negative thing for her. And so, she is so calm and comfortable and able to be there in the moment. And that's a change even in itself.
Okay. People want to know, how did this happen? And I know, Josh, you're saying like, you still don't get how it happened. And the thing is, it's very impossible for me to explain it to people who aren't in our program, how we do this. I try, but it's hard. And for me, you just went through our program the last 2 months, Jen. So can you explain to somebody else out there who knows nothing about us, what you think, how the hell did this happen? Because what you have experienced with narcolepsy, cataplexy, and even your pain with the RA is impossible in the conventional world. No one has seen results like this. So can you explain your own words how this happened?
Well, first, can I say what someone in the conventional world, my rheumatologist, who just saw me, what he said actually to me after he saw me about, let's see, it was almost a little over 2 months ago, and I was horrible. I was on the couch, and I was in so much pain. And he had started, I guess it was about 4 months ago, he started prescribing medication for me, and he's like, it's going to get worse. You just need to plan ahead. And that was the solution. Start taking medication for the pain. And so I did, because I didn't have anything else at this point. And then I went back just a couple of days ago, actually. And he goes, what? You're not taking the medication and you're not in pain. And what's happened to your narcolepsy? It's gone. This doesn't make any sense. I want to know who you saw and what they did for you. And just, he was blown away. This is something that he just could not comprehend.
This is not comprehensible in conventional medicine, but it's interesting, like a lot of times I was impressed when you guys joined the program because my team had asked me, this couple really wants to join the program. And, we talk to our people who are interested in our program. We screen our clients who come into the program, and they said, this couple has narcolepsy and RA, and they know that there's an autoimmune link with this narcolepsy with the cataplexy. I'm like, super smart. They want to know if there's anything that you can do about this. And I was like, come at me, bro. Of course. I was really excited because most people just don't realize that there is so much in our program that's able to turn this around. And so I was really impressed that you guys had already put that link together. But also the fact is, most of functional medicine, and here's the other thing is, could you have, your rheumatologist is like, I'll have what you're having. What did you do? But can you describe what you actually did in this program? Because I am a staunch believer that this is not possible out in a clinical setting, no matter how many amazing functional doctors you find. Okay. So let's say you knew the autoimmune connection. Did you go and try to seek a bunch of natural providers to actually deal with this from an autoimmune functional standpoint first before you joined this program?
Of course. In desperation, you try everything. I tried everything under the sun, and I went to providers that no one really understood autoimmune, nor did they think it was, so it was more of, how can you address me as a whole? So there are holistic doctors out there, and this doctor goes, yes, I'll help. And so he did manipulations. He did trigger point injections, and I've been adjusted. I've had all kinds of acupuncture, I've tried all the natural medicine options, and they would help a little bit, but everything came back. All the symptoms still were there. It was short-lived. So the difference with this program, to answer your question of what I got out of this program, is the education is phenomenal. This is a college level. This is a master's level course.
It's a master's level course, yeah.
8 weeks. I loved it, but this is a lot of information coming at you. But the point of it is so that you feel empowered to solve your problems. You're not going, okay, I have this problem. Now what? Okay, now what? Here's this. I don't know what to do with this. That's how I felt at every other provider. A new problem. Can you tell me what to do? So instead here, here's all this education, but obviously more than that, it had to be personalized. So the data, so the food mapping data was mammoth to me. That was, yes, for Josh too.
Yeah, we had spent so much time guessing. I can't tell you how many
diets,
things she has tried that have been nightmarish. Because they're so extreme, and because when when you have extreme symptoms, you have to be extreme. And she tried them, and it made it her worse in so many ways. But she had to keep guessing, and that's what she came to me. And as she explained stuff, it's like she wasn't guessing anymore. She was doing the thing that her body needed, which worked.
Yes.
Well, when you say it's huge, like people are like food mapping, what the hell that is? That's very completely unique to our program. Nobody else on the planet is doing food mapping, everybody. Okay. Don't try this at home yourself. But anyway, was a blood test with clear data. Based on that, you probably went on tons of elimination diets before this. How many things did you find out you actually had to remove, and what were they? I'm curious.
You want to know how many things?
Okay.
Actually, only one. All dairy.
All dairy.
All dairy. Every kind of dairy. I had messed around with eliminating whey protein or just or just lactose free, lactate free. Anyways, I just tried all these options. I knew my body had something with dairy, but I also thought I had issues with beans and I had issues with onions and garlic and gluten and all the things. And this is the man that had to deal with me. Oh, now we're not eating this ever again. Oh, now we're not eating this. I can't eat this. Every elimination diet.
And it didn't work. That's the worst part.
And it was torture for everyone. And I was eating bone marrow all the time, thinking, hopefully this will help. It didn't. And instead, I get back these results, and there's only one thing. And I eliminate that, and I'm better. Like so many of
How quickly did it take after the elimination of dairy did all these symptoms start to really resolve? I'm curious, how quickly?
2 or 3 weeks?
Yes, not 2 to 3 weeks max. Yeah. And I also went gluten-free, but I feel like that was like from the beginning, that was the absolute that you presented. She said, drink water and go gluten-free.
Autoimmune, you have to do that first. Yes.
And just doing that, not messing around with gluten-free. I was like, I'm gluten-free, but I still eat soy sauce, because that's not the same. All these things that I tried, but having this absolute data that was like, this is what you do 100%. All of a sudden I can do it. There's no temptation even to have that one piece of bread because you're like, this is going to work because someone gave me data that's absolute. It made such a difference.
So you mentioned all the data that was personalized. One was food mapping. What else did you think was really impactful? Thyroid. Oh my gosh.
Thyroid. Oh my word. I think that's the linchpin for my narcolepsy.
I know it was. Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
My thyroid is amazing that I've had my TSH checked how many times, and I'm normal every time. Every time. You get sick of hearing that, right? But I'm dying. I'm exhausted. I'm not getting out of bed, but
you're putting me to sleep with the TSH BS. Okay.
Well, they told me, so I gotta be okay, right? And to see that it was, and the education around why you can't just look at the TSH was just like light bulb. It was amazing.
And so you found out what was the condition of your thyroid?
It's shitty.
It was shitty. I think that was my word for it. It was shitty.
I think that was your word. I'm quoting you. Mostly dead, I believe, was another way of describing it. And
hypothyroid or having low thyroid function was one of the key reasons why you were in narcolepsy. Yes. And meanwhile, your neurologist and your doctors are looking at TSH and saying, you're fine, little lady.
Not fine. And within 2 weeks of, again, look at the data, know what I need to do to supplement correctly. I supplement, and within 2 weeks, Josh is going, who's this person that's awake?
Yeah.
I think it's abominable, actually, in one ways where you have a caring, smart neurologist and specialists, but it's so funny that they're so compartmentalized in neurologist deals with narcolepsy and sleep. But I don't think the neurologist was ever trained to understand that the freaking thyroid could be feeding narcolepsy or one of the underlying root causes of this.
Yeah.
So they're not trained to be quote unquote specialists of the thyroid. They'll just do a TSH and say you're fine, but yet it has such a tremendous impact upon the results of their clients and their lives of the clients that they experience. I think it's not just you, is that the doctors are in their own little branch of their specialty that they don't see a bigger picture involved. It's like there's total blinders around it. And that has such a huge impact.
Yeah. Yes. And that is with autoimmune people, when if your symptoms involve more than one system in your body, you're
shit out of luck. Yeah. Okay. So let me ask, you had mentioned before that you've shared with the alumni in your pod how important mindset work was in the program for you and your relationship. I would like what is mindset work? How did it impact upon you and your marriage even?
Yes, it affected, honestly, every area of my life, my relationship with other people and with myself. Mindset work was coming in. It's like step 1, drink water, gluten-free, and let's talk about mindset. I'm like, hold on, I want to get some help with my health. And Dr. Maggie says, no, we're going to work through these automatic negative thoughts. And I'm like, I already worked through that. I've been to 100 counselors,
Uh-huh.
And yet the way it was presented, that was just one of the mindsets that really was instrumental for me to forgive myself, thinking that I was responsible for how my kids were missing out on a mom, to see Josh as the good man that he is, instead of the person that my mind had distorted him to become, because he couldn't experience my pain. I felt that he couldn't really care for me in the way that I needed.
Yeah.
And
you had a whole story around that.
Yeah, many stories, and forgiving other people in my family that I felt I needed to blame for where my health was. Instead, I was able to process those in a really healthy way and to come out on the other side going, wow, I'm so glad that this happened to me, so that I can then change that outcome with my husband, change the way that my relationship with my kids turns out. It's huge.
That's a very big leap. And I'm going to ask Josh to sit here and say, I'm glad that this narcolepsy or RA happened to me. I mean, are you there, Josh, with her on that? Or that's the opposite of the irritable mad woman who thought you were an idiot once a month.
Am I glad that she went through
Narcolepsy in order to...
I mean, are you at that point where you're like, I'm damn glad that happened to me, because now we could actually, I mean, where are you at with your mindset with this?
In a weird way, I'm glad that we got to the point where it was bad enough to search and find something like this, so that we could get healed, because we were just on it was just it's like a boiling frog situation, just slowly getting worse, and physically and mentally for her. Yeah.
What was when you look at what the results were 2 months later? I mean, there was no way I could have told the Jenn and Josh 2 months ago that this was going to happen. You would have believed me, right? So, I mean, there's people watching right now who don't believe us. Frankly, to be frankly. Question: why did you two almost not join the program?
Well, this wasn't the first thing that we have tried. And, like you said, the autoimmune link with narcolepsy, she was just starting to discover that. And then she stumbled across your program that looked interesting. And we were really rock bottom, right before that. Her health was extremely bad. And, I was expecting to take her to the emergency room every time I left the house. I had to go into work to tell them that I was taking care of my wife in a almost hospice kind of situation, and I couldn't be taxed with extra duties. I needed to let them know that don't look to me for extra work right now. And the program was intense, and how could we do this? Plus it's a financial investment, and that's a risk. There's definitely, it was skeptical, on my part a little bit, but Jenny was, we needed to try something, and it looked like it had the possibility of helping. The narcolepsy part was a little bit of an unknown how that would work, but it was enough to push us over, and obviously we're extremely glad that we did.
Well, knowing what you guys know now, what would you tell Jenny and Josh from 2 months ago?
Oh man!
I would have told us like 5 or 8 years ago to do it, probably.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What is something that you learned about yourself? What's something about you that surprised yourself that you learned about yourself in the program?
We're resilient. I had given up on that idea. I had given up hope on living much longer. So the thought of doing something this intense, I go, well, I mean, there was just this sliver of hope. That's all it was. And when he said, yeah, let's go, bro, what do we have to lose? That to me, and then seeing this transformation happen week after week, little by little, and then skyrocket huge, I realized we're resilient. Like we can do this, even when you feel like you're at the bottom of the bottom, when you have so many unexplained symptoms and you're like, there's no hope, I'm done. You can be resilient. You can. It just, you have to have that sliver of hope still. And I think that's where what we found in this. We prayed for this and it came, and it truly was an answer to prayer.
Josh, what's something you learned about your wife that surprised you during this program?
Honestly, well, I mean, all of the ailments, and narcolepsy symptoms and everything, it was amazing how so many things were connected and what they caused. And I had been living with her in her, anxiety prone depression state for so long, I had forgotten who she really was and what kind of a person, we lived, where she was, prone to, long-term depression and anxiety it changes, you just assume that's the person, they just changed from when we met them. And when she comes out of that, like lifting your head out of the water and taking a breath of air, you forgot that who she really was, when we met and when we got married. So that it was good to see that. I never thought that would happen. You just, when you're living life, you assume that, well, this is the new, we all change. This is the person. I didn't know that person was still there.
So your surprising thing you learned about your wife is she was still in there.
Yeah.
She's still in there.
Yeah.
Jenn wasn't her illness. Jenn was still there behind that illness.
Yeah.
Wow. That's profound. Okay. So let's throw in a couple extra bonus questions, which would be, a lot of people out there in the front don't know what it's like behind the scenes to be in the program. So Jenn, if there was something surprising about being in the program that surprised you, that you think people in the front would have no idea about, what's something surprising about the program that you would love to share with the audience?
That it's terrifying and yet so worth it to work with Dr. Beggy.
Terrifying.
At first, I should say.
Tell me why you were terrified, or why?
I think it also comes down to this mindset work. Like, it's amazing. We were pleasers, right? You shared that you were a people pleaser.
Hell yeah.
I was a people pleaser, and I am growing out of that now. And so to meet someone with such confidence and just like, no, this is the way you do it. This is going to work. And we don't mess around with a bunch of yes. I was like, is she mad at me? I was all up in my needing to people please and trying to work through that. But instead, the program was amazing. It was so energizing to be able to be in these calls with you, to spend 2 hours with you every week. And I'm like, oh, what can I glean today? I'm not scared anymore. What can I glean? It was so wonderful to grow in that, to have that time with a doctor that really understands this, that relates to us. It was phenomenal.
I think it's interesting because you used the word terrifying, but I think, what it is that I think for me, okay, I have some superpowers. One of my superpowers is the level of certainty that I carry a high level of certainty. I am certain that I can help people, and I know how to do it. And I know how to fix from narcolepsy. Come at me. I laugh at danger. That is the level of certainty I come at it with. And I think when people are sick and they're living with so much uncertainty, sickness, and hopelessness, seeing that level of certainty can be terrifying.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is this for real? There's someone like this that exists out there? How can someone have this level of certainty? I've never witnessed this in me or in any of the providers I've ever seen. So how is that possible? So I think I could understand the terrifying part of it, because it seems unreal, right?
Yes.
Too good to be true, or too certain.
Absolutely. But that was only the beginning. Just one result, one symptom that disappeared. I go, okay, I can trust this again. I can trust her.
Because it's working.
Yeah.
Remember, it's in the annuals. Dr. Maggie recommends shit that works. And so for me, it's like, do this, trust me on this one, do it. And then here's your data. Based on this data and your education, what's your answer to this? And you come up with the same answer. I do. See it? And then you see me on the training, like in the mastermind calls. I love it when people say, well, maybe is this. I go, really? Is it maybe? Or is it hot damn, it's that? Think about this. What'd you learn? What'd your data say? Say it again. And you'll be like, of course my thyroid is shit. And to me, I love to build that certainty in you. like this, I am carrying that for everybody else so that you can borrow it from me until you grow your own. That is my intention.
And you did that well.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So I think we're going to wrap this up. I would say if there's somebody out there, if there's a Jen and there's a Josh out there sitting out there watching this and they're saying, should I learn more about this program? Should I contact this team? What would you say to them? Anybody who's even remotely thinking about this, what would you say to them? What's your advice?
If you're at that point of those unexplained symptoms, those things that you're starting to question, if you're even making this up, why aren't people believing me? What am I making this up? If you're at that point where that brain fog or the exhaustion is just won't budge, stop guessing. You just need to go and get the help. And I did the work for you and tried every avenue there is. I have Googled for my siblings say I have a degree in medical just because of the amount of Googling I did, but it always left me confused. It always left me with too much knowledge that really wasn't personal data. So I would say if you have done the Googling and you've done the searching and you're still confused, you don't even remember what you Googled because you have your brain fog, now's the time to just go to a program that tells you, do this, learn this, and it will be worth it. It is.
Awesome. Josh, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
There's another Josh out there sitting with a Jen like this.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say to that Josh? What would you recommend for that Josh right now?
I think skepticism in something new, is something that I think, you might deal with. And I completely understand that. I was skeptical about anything she tried, but we had to try something because it kept getting worse. So you weigh the, how bad things are versus what you're trying to do and how many things you've done, and look into the program because it makes, from the overview and what you can look at, it's something new that you haven't done before. It makes a lot of sense, even just from the outside looking in, because it's personalized data that a person can take and take the correct things and stop eating the correct things. And it's very simple. It's just not as, we just don't hear of it, the other programs. So it definitely works, and don't have to be afraid of it.
What's something recently that happened between the two of you that makes you giddy that 2 months ago was impossible?
Do you want to know?
Yes, I want to know.
My husband is so hot. Like, I am just so immensely attracted to him now. My hormones were in the toilet. Okay. So I had no interest in this guy, but look at the face.
Non-existent.
I just can't keep my hands off him.
This is what we call hot.
And it makes me giddy. I'm guessing it makes him.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, it's something that couldn't have been a part of our life before, and we're able to, connect at a different level.
All the levels.
You guys just gave me hot flashes. Thank you. All right, you two. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing all that with us. And you guys are just a joy to watch on the screen and a joy to have had in the program. You blossom.
I can tell.
I'm so glad you're back.
Yes, I am too. Thank you so much. And this has been just nothing like it. So thank you so much. I mean that. You told me I'd thank you, and I'm thanking you. Okay.
Certainty I have. You'll thank me later. Thank you, you two. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Wow. That was amazing to have Josh share that after 14 years, he discovered that his wife was still in there and she's back. And to have her engage with the kids, the family, in her relationship and in her life, and to have her, the real Jen, come back. It was just incredibly touching, moving, and transformative. I'm so glad we're able to share this dramatic transformation, right, that we never see in narcolepsy or cataplexy with you all. If you yourself suffer from this, or you know anyone who does, share this video with them, please. Put their name in the comment section. And sharing is caring, and raising awareness around impossible to treat symptoms, diseases, and diagnoses is what we are here on a mission to do. So thanks for sharing. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, make sure you join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. Hey, and if you want to learn more about the Transform Autoimmune program, click the link above and below to chat with our team right now. Thanks, everybody.